Funding for Common Core State Standards and ELLs is provided by the American Federation of Teachers Innovation Fund.
Hey, good morning. So yesterday we started looking at the text Travels with Charley by John Steinbeck. And
Katie Soto is using Steinbeck's writing to help her 7th grade ELLs develop important Common Core skills.
Each day was just a small chunk of text, a paragraph actually, and it was focused on taking a close look at that paragraph and then answering some text-dependent questions.
To prepare them, she opens the lesson by focusing in on some of the passage's key vocabulary.
Just like yesterday, before we take a look at the actual text, we need to look at some vocabulary.
In particular, she highlights words that she thinks will be trickiest for her students, but words that are also essential to understanding the text.
This is a hard one. It was hard for me. I kept stumbling over the pronunciation.
Ms. Soto's approach to vocabulary is multi-layered. She displays the word,
Everybody say taciturn.
Taciturn.
gives a simple definition, uses a related image, and provides an example sentence. She also encourages the students to provide real-world examples. This helps them connect with the vocabulary more easily and provides Ms. Soto with an opportunity for informal assessment.
Who's a taciturn student in this classroom? Who's a taciturn student?
Rayhan.
Rayhan. Okay, anybody else?
Anthony.
Anthony, really?
What? I always talk.
Maybe normally. He's doing the opposite. He's becoming quieter.
Not all new words and phrases need such extended instruction, though. Ms. Soto also incorporates embedded vocabulary instruction into her lesson. One way is by providing each student with a glossary.
We're going to look at the next piece of text today. It's in front of you. Just like yesterday, we're looking at one section, a paragraph. To your left, you see the text. There are some words highlighted in bold that are defined to the right. What's that called again? Words to the side or at the bottom? Glossary. You're going to need to rely on this glossary even more, I think, than you did yesterday. So as I read it out loud, I'm going to talk a little bit about the words. We learned a few. I'll talk about some of the other ones. And then when you're answering the questions with pairs afterwards, you're going to need to look back at the glossary to help you. Okay, I'm going to read from here on the smartboard, but you have it in front of you. I want you to listen carefully. After I finish reading it, we'll go over our questions, and then you'll work with your pairs to answer the questions, and we'll share out. Okay, here we go. I soon discovered that if a wayfaring stranger, that means somebody who travels around,
Another embedded instruction technique Ms. Soto uses is that while she is reading the passage, she'll substitute in quick definitions to help with the student's comprehension.
A good alternative, that means another choice.
Vocabulary development is an important component in any lesson plan. With ELLs, though, it takes on even more weight since they are already playing catch-up and often don't have as many opportunities to develop their academic vocabulary outside the classroom.
And there is a drawback. A problem.
After reading through the passage, Ms. Soto has the students work in pairs to answer guiding and supplementary questions about the text.
They barely talk to one another. So what I want you to do now is find your questions. They should be underneath your passage.
The lesson's guiding question provides a larger focus for the students. The more specific supplementary questions help the students find the information they need to answer the guiding question.
The narrator says he wants to eavesdrop.
The goal of both types of questions is to not only help the students understand what they are reading, but also to teach them how to provide textual evidence for their answers.
So our natural instinct is, I got it. Shh, I'm going to write down my answer. But we need to find the clues in the text that confirm what we think and make sure that we're correct. So that's what we're going to be working towards.
I think that without those supplementary questions, the guiding questions, they'd be able to answer to some extent, but they certainly wouldn't be as well thought out or as complete, And that being said, every question required a different amount of scaffolding. There were places where I knew the students were going to be able to just go ahead and answer the question, and then other places where they needed a little more support to get there.
One way she helped scaffold the work was by reviewing all the questions with the whole class and helping the students identify key words in each.
Who does the narrator want to eavesdrop on?
What's the question word in that sentence? Thanks, Kim. Luis?
Who?
Who. So we're looking for a who. We're looking for a person, right? And at the bottom, you'll see the guiding question revisited. I want you to work with your partner, answer the supplementary questions, and then the guiding question, and then we'll share out. Make sure you're checking with your partner to see that you're on the same page.
By including pair, small group, and whole classwork in her lesson, Ms. Soto is helping her students learn how to effectively engage in discussions in a range of settings.
Let's go through all
Where
of
can
these
the
in a
narrator
sentence.
go instead to eavesdrop?
Wayfarer and stranger. Okay, so a stranger is a who. You're correct. So let's see if that answers the question. Who does the narrator want to
Right here, look.
eavesdrop on other people?
What's from New England towns?
Is it the narrator or is it a different person?
A good,
It's a different person?
roadside restaurant
Yeah?
where men.
Okay, so if you look at the I,
As they answer the questions, Ms. Soto constantly monitors their work. This allows her to informally assess their progress, pinpoint any potential weak spots, and encourage them to utilize the skills they've already learned.
in this question, what's going to be your keyword? We talked about who.
I.
We need something else to get us back in. Where are we going to know where to look?
Context clues.
Okay, context clues. What does that mean?
You get to find clues that match the word.
Find clues. So we know we don't have narrator. What else do we have that we can go on? Right, Kyrell. Eavesdrop we know is there, so find it. Okay, Kyrell found it. Can you show Anthony? Okay, so now what?
Eavesdrops on a local population.
Do you hear him?
Yes.
So what part of that phrase?
The population.
Population, because population means? Okay, good.
Ms. Soto then brings the lesson back to whole class so that the students can share and review their answers.
Question number one, you're going to be listening to each other, and if you hear something that you don't have, write it down, please. All right, the narrator goes at breakfast time. What is the problem for eavesdropping at this time? Michelle.
The problem is that they barely talk to one another.
They barely talk to one another. Can you describe a little bit, because I know your group struggled with finding this answer, what you had to do, the steps you had to take to find the answer?
I went back to the glossary and I found problem.
Okay.
And then I saw the word drawback and then I went back to the reading and I looked for the word drawback and I saw the answer.
Okay, a lot of work, a lot of steps there, right, Kyrell and Anthony? A lot of steps. Thank you, Michelle. All right,
After
we're gonna
all of
wrap
the
it up
questions
for
have
today.
been
You did a good
discussed,
job. This
Ms.
piece
Soto
of
has
text
one
was a
final
little more
activity for
challenging
the
than
students.
yesterday. So what I want to do for our closing activity today is an exit slip. Each of you have on your desk 2 Post-its, a blue and a green. And I want you to take a minute to think about what you learned, and then I want you to think of one question, and that's on green, that you still have. It could be a question about a vocabulary word, a question about the reading, a question about the process of why are we asking these questions and doing it this way, okay? And I really want you to take your time and think about both of them, but especially the questions you have, because that's going to help me figure out what we need to do next and what I might need to do differently. When you're done, go ahead and get on up and just put them on the chart paper.
These exit slips are a quick
need to
and
put your
fun
name
way
on
for
it,
the
but
students
please
to
do write
feel
your name.
involved and express their concerns. It's also a great informal assessment for Ms. Soto.
They were very metacognitive in some cases about the process. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing it this way? And with this population, you know, a lot of the students in this class are what we call long-term ELLs. They've been in ESL past the 6-year mark. And so they're at a place where sometimes they know or they almost know and they're satisfied with that. It's like good enough, and it's not exact, it's not precise, it's not specific. So getting them to really focus in on that and not just saying, okay, it's okay, I kind of understand it, I got it, but really going back and pinpointing, no, this is exactly what it is, and I know this because, you know, this word or this process.